right. Good evening, Chemistry. Welcome to the Event Leaders and Libraries. Hi to you. Before
Hey,
we get
thank you.
started, let me have the honor of introducing somebody who's got a huge, long list of credentials under her belt. And had I known this, I would have increased the conversation time by another 5 minutes. So, guys, bear with me. Let me start reading it. All right, Chemistry, DGM HR with NTPC. I'm speaking almost like in bullet points. Huh? An author, a storyteller, a coach, one of the top 100 HR on Twitter, a 40 under 40 leaders by Jombe, a regular speaker in B schools, a columnist, an all India radio artist, has moderated celebrity sessions with the likes of Sashi Tharoor, Smriti Irani, and Bollywood celebrities. So anybody wants to meet Shah Rukh and Salman, you know where to go for. And above all this, I'm so happy to have her because she represents one of the Navaratnas of the country. And we have had leaders from the so-called corporate world, which is a little boring. I also come from there, so I've earned the right to say this. So guys, don't get offended there. Such a pleasure to have you, Chemistry. I loved your energy from the first time I met. And if you remember, I connected with you after being absolutely impressed by the glitter in your eyes in the story that you narrated on LinkedIn, if you remember that.
It's first of all completely a pleasure. I so look forward to doing book talks because that is kind of a breather for me from an utterly mundane life that I otherwise live. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here and to get talking about books with you. I'm so
Beautiful.
excited. And
Beautiful.
secondly, I do remember our first conversation. I think we clicked right away. That's the beauty of books and stories. It connects people instantly.
It does.
So
It does.
yes, I remember that
Super.
camaraderie that we struck right
Lovely.
in the first go.
Lovely. Thank you so much for coming on. Let's get started. So my first question goes to you, which is, tell me
Hmm.
chemistry and books and chemistry, how are they related?
Ah, oh my God. So I'm a writer. You know that writing is my first love. It's like breathing to me. And if I often put this across that if I don't write, probably I'd die. But then if writing is fire, then what is the fuel?
Hmm.
It, reading is the fuel. I mean, books are the fuel.
Right.
It makes me up. It has shaped me up. I've always been a very voracious and avid reader, Rajiv, for as
Mm-hmm.
long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a young girl, I started picking up, I think, newspaper articles and comic books. That's how I started in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I would read both Hindi and English and translation of Roman and Arabic novels as well while
Wow.
in those years. And
Wow.
I started with random abridged book of illustrations, went on to Enid Blyton series. Now Enid Blyton would mean almost all the
Famous
titles
five,
of
Nancy Drews of the world.
yes, Famous Five, Secret Seven, went on to Mallory Towers, Nancy Drew, Alfred
Lovely.
Hitchcock. I mean, that's sort of a hierarchy of ladder of reading,
Beautiful.
probably.
Beautiful.
Yes, and then uh, probably I was when I was in my later teenage life when I
Mm-hmm.
decently started reading classic books. Then, but those were also light classics. For instance,
Mm-hmm.
Gulliver's Travels, Going around the
Right.
world,
Right.
and the Jane Austen series. But it
Beautiful.
was when I was during my late teens
Mm.
that I actually picked up really decent, heavy classic books. But
Mm.
Cain and Abel, talk about that. Roots, Alex Haley. Then Wuthering Heights has been my all-time favorite.
Wow.
But while I was reading all this, I was also reading all the stuff from Diamond Comics, whether it would be Pinky or Billu or Chacha Chaudhary or the Champak Chandamama, Lotpot, Balance. You name a book and probably I've read it.
My God.
And you remember that Phantom, Mandrake, and
Oh
Super
my, I was about
Commando?
to ask you, don't tell me you've read Lothar and Mandrake and Phantoms of the World also. That's
Yes.
crazy stuff.
I I literally fantasized about living like a superhero in that world,
Oh
along with
my
Super Commando, Dhruv,
God.
and Phantom and Mandrake. And I, and at the same time, I was also very fascinated with works by Prem Chand or Subhadra Kumari
Beautiful.
Chauhan because I've been
Beautiful.
reading a lot of poetry. So reading has actually shaped me. In fact, reading management books came a lot later because I was
Mhm.
always into fiction reading.
Right.
And I was doing my master's in psychology and HRD when I
Mhm.
came across this interesting subject of organizational psychology, which
Lovely.
led me to the world of
HR.
management books. Yes. And that was the time I first time picked up so-called non-fiction series, so
Right.
to say. And then I read one after the other. Honestly, that's a very honest confession that I still given if I have if I have limited time, I would probably pick up a fiction novel or a poetry compared to a management book.
Lovely.
Because that's I'm totally a very big dreamer sort of a person. So I live in a
How
parallel
nice.
world at
How
all
nice.
time.
How nice. How is
But
it? Is this something that acquired, naturally happened, or genetic? Honestly.
uh, I would have to say slightly genetic, in the sense that because both my parents have been professors. So uh, if I have anything of in the memory of my parents, it is of them sitting on a study table and reading or writing. So that is the most vivid memory I have of my mother and my father both. And eventually my younger sister also landed up becoming a professor. So it's not an unusual sight in our home that four of us would be found in four different corners, picking up our own set of books, reading or writing.
Thank
So
God, had
yes.
you not done this, your mother or father would have said, hospital se galat bacche ko uthake leke aa gaya, nurse ne badal diya. So now they know that your daughter is
No,
there now.
I am still the black sheep of the family, because I'm the one who forayed into corporate and HR, and everybody else is into academics still. So they do a lot of research, and when we are on the dining table dining together, then three of them have things to talk about in common, and I'm the only one who would not understand a word and look like geek to all of them one by one.
Beautiful, lovely.
Yeah.
Nice to talk to somebody who's had books all over.
Yes,
But
yes,
tell
yes.
me, from the days of the Lothars and Phantom that you fantasized to the management books that you picked up, how did reader chemistry help in evolving the leader in you?
That's interesting to think about. A lot of who I am as a person and as a professional is a result of me being under diligent tutelage of books.
Mm-hmm.
The more I read, the more number of doors I found opened up.
Right.
So if there was one complex problem, there were always newer perspectives, ways to look at the problem, newer experiences, shared storytelling that emerged out of books.
Right.
Also the ability to interrelate functions. That is something I picked from the books. So if I have a management or an HR complex problem in front of me,
Okay.
I would not constrict my domain to HR alone. So I would also look into a slight of economics, a little bit of physical science, or a little bit of sociology and psychology, and then probably have an interdisciplinary approach to the problem.
Lovely.
And that clearly emanated from my reading of various books, or my being an avid reader. It has never disappointed me. It's like an anchor to me. And sometimes when I'm very anxious, or I'm distressed, or the times are not good, I still find my solutions in the book. So I go back, take a step behind, stop there, mull over, gather myself, take anchor points from the book, and then I move ahead. That's how it has worked, and I'm very happy with it.
Lovely. Yeah. All right, so many books, but I'm so happy to talk to you about the man who has had a great impact in my life. If he asked me to jump off the 25th floor, I wouldn't go and seek a permission from my family. I'll jump off.
Wow.
All his books have slapped me on my cheek. Every page, he's got the ability to slap you and make you feel, shit, man, what am I doing with my life? What a book, what a man. I was blessed to have met him, which I told you last time, and had some
How lucky.
time
How
with him,
lucky.
right? I was sitting at his feet and having a signature on this book that you're talking about today. I rushed home, picked up the book, and went back to get his signature. I said, I'm not going to leave this opportunity for lifetime.
Wow.
Why is this book one of the most inspiring books for you, chemistry? And the book is What Got You Here Won't Get You There, by none other than Dr. Marshall Goldsmith.
The name. 2 words. Subtle nuances.
Right.
We as HR professionals and even as leaders, we tend to talk about big concepts, heavy management jargons. We talk about big ideas. But in reality, we tend to underplay the value of subtle nuances in our life. Right. That makes all the difference. Sure. So in my opinion, this book captures the beauty of human life intercepted with professional leadership quality in one place. Lovely. For example, the 20 bad habits that he talks about, whether it is winning too much or passing judgment or not starting with no, but however, those are very simple things that we should be knowing ideally as a part of our common sensibility, but we don't. Right. And I'm a very short and hot-tempered leader, but he makes me realize how destructive a leader can I be in the workplace if I don't quit that simple habit of, that was the habit of mine. this is something that even if you're an A grade student of a business school, no book is going to teach you. You'll have to learn it by yourself and appreciate that quitting is essential. So trust me, I have practiced many of the tenets that he has laid in the book. What got you here won't get you there. And it has brought about huge difference in my life. I have felt the change, and I'm not kidding. Trust me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Just a quick question. Are you having two machines in front of you? Because you're seeing a little left, you're seeing a little right. Would you see this side? Now you're looking at me. Now you're looking somewhere else. Can you see this side?
Where do you want me to see?
I don't mean, now you're looking at me, but in between you're like little left and right.
Okay, so I'll tell you why. Because the camera is on the left and you're on the right side. So I'm trying to balance between both. Okay. No, but I look at you now. Forget the camera.
Okay, so this is a crazy book, and let's try to touch on a couple of things which I think are very, very interesting in chemistry. And whatever you want to speak from now onwards, your interpretations of Marshall's powerful learnings are key inputs to the budding leaders who are listening to this conversation, right? So the first one, which impressed me a lot, was the concept of mirage of success. Right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I thought this was fabulous. It took a couple of days to even understand what he's trying to do, because I was lost in that cycle for some time. Tell me, how do you see this for belief systems, starting from I will succeed to I choose to succeed, and how did you work on it by not getting stuck into any of these beliefs?
Okay, so those four things that you have just talked about, I have succeeded, I can succeed, I will succeed, I choose to succeed. This is one brilliant question. You know, I belong to that MBTI ENTJ family. And that gets compounded with the fact that I'm also an atheist. So I tend to take things in my control. That is the kind of a leader or a person that I am. I like to keep situation, context, stories under my control. And I honestly do not feel a spiritual connect to karma, fate, or let luck will take care of this. These concepts don't exist for me. So it becomes all the more difficult. What exists for me is a good scientific plan backed up by good logics and right choices. And so I think I can do it all alone by myself if I have a good laid out plan. But then life is not that simple. I'm more vulnerable to falling prey to any of those superstitions. You know, I have succeeded, I can succeed, I will succeed, I choose to succeed. I'm more vulnerable to falling prey to any of those. Because if I think that everything is in my hand, depending on my choices, I'm also discounting any other interfering variable which is present. I may blind myself to it, but of course it is present around. Absolutely. So the important part here for me is to know that I can get stuck. So my key taking from this was to acknowledge the fact that I'm more vulnerable and therefore I will get stuck and therefore I need to get out of it. So if I were to make confessions, I have learned the lessons hard way and not the smart way in life. So if I would enter a circumstance, get stuck, I would realize why did I get stuck, acknowledge it as one of the 4 blocks, and then I would move ahead. Right. So that's how. For me, acknowledgement of the fact is very important. Only then I'd be able to work on it.
Beautiful. So tell me, that's a lovely articulation that you did. For leaders who are in their own growth journey, how does exposing this vulnerability help them to become the better version of themselves? It's
acknowledgement.
Any one of these boxes or all of these boxes?
I think acknowledgement is the key. Unless you know yourself, you know your flaws, you know your imperfections, how are you ever going to work on it? Right. That is the most powerful tool. And this here, Goldsmith helps us do that. With all the little nuances that he brings about beautifully in the book, he lets us know. I mean, that is the power of the book.
Correct. So he actually has got a solution of how to do and what to do for all these blocks in which we can get stuck in. Lovely.
Yes.
All right. So that takes me to the next question. Another great man, father of modern management, Peter Drucker, who's inspired Marshall himself, like many other people. He said, we spend enough time in telling leaders what to do, but we don't spend enough time to tell leaders what not to do. I mean, why is that also so important? Because in our learning session that you would know, one of the most used techniques is start, do, continue, do, and stop, do after you have a session, right? I always thought start and continue was very important. The statement also sounds very powerful. Why is it important for leaders, chemistry, tell us, to also focus on stopping to do something?
I totally love this concept, Rajiv. Marshall says that why do we all have to have a to-do list? Why cannot we have a to-stop list with us? And why, even if we have it, do we congratulate ourselves on it over and over again? So from who I was 10 years ago to who I am now, there has been a sea change, which is not, here's the point, which is not primarily because I began doing newer things and fresh things, but because I stopped doing certain things. I clearly acknowledge the change owing to the fact that I stopped doing certain things, and very small habits, as simple as I reduce sugar intake. I stopped overexerting myself. So I'm kinder to myself now. I stopped procrastinating, putting things off to future. So I stick to my routine and live in the present moment. I stopped eating outside too much. I've cut on oil, butter, dairy. Now, these are little things. I stopped comparing myself to other people's success and failures, which has helped me to live in the moment, appreciate the moment. I stopped judging people. I stopped reacting to criticism and misconceptions at the snap of the finger. So I'm more focused now. So those are the positive changes that I see in my own journey that has helped me become a better person. And those are not a result of doing certain things, but a result of stopping myself from doing certain things.
Which also makes me think, it sounds very easy, but take an example of a smoker. He says or she says it's so difficult to stop something. And I kind of agree to that, because the gravity is so strong that it's going to pull you back, and the rocket takes tremendous effort to push itself out of the stratosphere to reach the open space, and the gravity is pulling it. So in a way, stopping is difficult than starting something, isn't it? So why would
much difficult? Much difficult. It's much difficult.
Because why do you take the stopping route? Take the starting route. No, that's easier for leaders.
You know, to learn anything, unlearning is the precursor. Unless you unlearn, how are you even going to pick up? Unless you have if you have a, say, katora in your hand, a kashkol, jo ek kashkol hota hai, if you don't have that in your hand, and if that is not empty, how are you ever going to get pearls and gems collected in that?
Correct.
So you need to empty your mind, your blockages, your conditioning first, so as to avail the opportunities that are knocking your doors. And as in the workplace, in fact, it very disappoints me to see that we do not encourage, congratulate, or celebrate individuals who have stopped a bad habit of behavior. Even a PMS or IDP, so to say, is driven on
I completely agree. Yeah.
On what good things have we achieved during the year, and not on what bad things have we stopped during the year. Even if it was smoking, as you were talking about, why not congratulate? Because my employees are far healthier man now. He's going to contribute much more.
Absolutely. Yes. That's a story to tell to others in the organization. Why not?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be about always targets and performance and deliverables, right?
And we have a long list in the organization, Rajiv. For instance, stop making excuses for challenging assignments, stop passing the buck, stop cribbing about the market scenario, stop whistleblowing, stop talking behind the back.
You're true. I mean, I think it's a very powerful statement. I've heard somebody else also say this. We should come up with organizations, HR leaders like you should come up with equal amount of R&R for people stopping something.
Yes.
Which would be a great motivator, a great impetus for people to stop and then start something. Powerful thought. Yes. Powerful thought. Lovely. But it's difficult, isn't it? I completely acknowledge this.
Very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah. Lovely. All right. So let's take this conversation forward. Now, you are 15 years in one organization and you stayed there, and the organization is amazing. As you have learned so much, and you must be getting compliments and being seen as somebody in the organization who's very well read, who's doing a lot of stuff, so it could probably intimidate people as well. Possible. I may be wrong. Correct me if I am. But there is always a tendency in people like us who have done something very well to every occasion grab the first chance given and add a value.
Oh my God, it's like you're showing me a mirror.
How do leaders stop doing this? And what is the temptation for them to do this first? Then let's talk about how do you stop it.
You really want to hear the real story? Well, I have come across so many leaders I know who would actually do that. So if I, as a junior, would go to them with an idea which I think is brilliant, the first thing they would say to me is, "This sounds good, but it could have been a little better, this way." So like Goldsmith also puts it in his book, he says that maybe the value would get increased by 5%, but my commitment would get decreased by 90. How about that?
Sure.
So no, but however, ever work. And
Correct.
if you ask me, how do I handle it? I've been a practitioner and a student of psychology since young days. So I have learned it over time, very gradually and very patiently, to begin everything with good listening.
Lovely.
Hear the plan with utmost patience and appreciation. Let it get executed first and wait for the result. So most of the times that there is obviously this inherent tendency, this innate tendency to stop the process right there and add on certain to it. But I think I have consciously stepped back a little. I'll share with you a story. It's about yesterday. At home, I have a little daughter, and she was decorating her room yesterday. We had bought this new fairy lights for her room, and she was putting it all across on the walls in a very dramatic fashion, which I thought wasn't adding much to the beauty. And I had my own concept, and I wanted to add value to the plan that she had. And I was almost about to tell her, look, why don't you try it? I almost started that. And the moment I started, I saw her face dropping. I could see the shine, the glitter, the twinkle in her eyes were fading.
True.
And then I stepped back. I moved out of the room. I gave her the opportunity, and I asked her to do it her way. And then when I went back in the night, the result was probably something which was more beautiful compared to what I had in my mind.
True.
But then I realized that I needed that cushion to step back, to take a step back and give her the entire territory. To lead the ground in her own way. So the similar thing happens in workplace also. We need to understand that this is how people learn. It cannot be our way all the time. Let them do what they want to. We'll see. And if still there is a pressing need to add more value, we can always do it later.
Once in a while, it's okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. I mean, what you did with your daughter yesterday has actually earned you the right to answer this question. So congratulations on that. That's really lovely, you know, because it may appear to be messy for us because we are adult. Humko pata hai kaise sajana hai kamra, wo to bachchi hai. But they do it beautifully well. Yeah. I completely agree with that. That's such a powerful point, right? Tell me, adding value is a big temptation which pushes us, right? Now, one more thing that people keep saying is, let me tell you, that won't work. Now, I have a question here. You have somebody who has seen 15 years of corporate life. I have seen 21 years of corporate life. I've been on the learning and development leadership space on the corporate. I've been on the global consulting platform. I've done fairly good bit of work, and today I run a company of my own. So I've got some element of experience sitting on both these shoulders. Why should I not come and tell you that this will not work? And by doing that, am I not helping you chemistry by saying, look, I've done this. This may not work. I'm helping you to quicken up things and not waste time. What's wrong in doing that? And why does Marshall say the leader should not do that?
If you ask me, it is the height of pretension and nowhere close to kindness. It has actually been unkind under the guise of being helpful. It is a negativity of an altogether different level. And I say this from the experience that I have had with one or two of the leaders that I've met in past. So when I'd go to them with a checklist of things, they would not appreciate it. So what I would do in turn is I would make my own checklist so that once, if ever I would be in a position in which they are, I would not repeat those things. That's how I have learned. So again, if I have a to-do list, I also have a list of things I would not do when I become a leader, or if I get the opportunity as they have. So I've been hurt many times when they washed away my plan, thinking that my opinion was not good, if not brilliant. They did it their way, and I know that it wasn't half as good as how it would have been if us, the juniors, would have done it our way. So now as a leader, I would remain cautious. I would let them experiment, and I would give them enough room to tolerate mistakes. Trust me, it works wonders.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I like that phrase that you said, tolerate mistakes. It's so powerful. You're giving them that, somewhere you're very strongly giving them the message that I'm there behind you. So even if you fall, don't worry.
And also that's one little encouragement. Why won't it work? Why don't you try it? Go ahead. This is more than enough for anybody to take on a huge challenge. Why would anybody deter someone else from doing that? I don't get that concept.
Is it okay to once in a while say that that won't work, let me tell you, or you should not say it now? What is your input to the budding leaders listening to you?
In the initial, at the outset, no, please don't. Let the person go ahead. Of course,
Right.
if you're seeing the, that entire thing getting into jeopardy, is the time when you should step in
Hmm.
and put your 2 cents across, and that too very politely,
Hmm.
instead of belittling the other person's effort and credibility.
Right.
I think there are many, many alternatives to put it across in a way that they would begin to appreciate you and see you as a helpful person and not as an unkind one.
Lovely, lovely. Okay, so that takes me to the next question. This is a very interesting one. All right, so I'm going to read this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Marshall talks about four things. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
he says clearly communicating a vision,
Mm-hmm.
treats people with respect, solicits contrary opinions,
Mm-hmm.
encourages other people's ideas. Clearly communicates a vision, treats people with respect, solicits contrary opinions, and encourages other people's ideas. All four of them are powerful
Mm-hmm.
for the benefit of the budding leaders and others. What are the two things that you have always practiced that has been acknowledged, appreciated, and respected by the environment in which you work? And how did it help?
Yes, all the four statements are extremely profound and powerful. But if I were to pick up two out of the four, I would clearly draw it from the kind of a person that I am,
Hmm.
and which comes very naturally and easily to me. And one would be treating people with respect.
All right.
Because even if I would not have been in HR profession or would not have been a corporate professional,
Hmm.
even if I would have been a street dancer, I would still do that.
Hmm.
It does not matter to me what my profession would be. I would still treat people with respect because that is how I'm made. And I would also appreciate if others also treat me with respect, if not with recognition. I don't care about recognition that much.
Sure.
So that is the basic premise on which I operate.
Hmm.
I'm very clear about it. I'm not moving an inch ahead without this.
Hmm.
And I'm glad that in my organization that I have been acknowledged with this characteristic of mine also. So they know that she may or may not be a performer, but she'll always be the person who will respect people, their opinions, their existence, their thoughts, everything. The second thing is, I think clearly communicating a vision. Again, it stems from the fact that I'm a person who believes in planning, organizing, and keeping things sorted and not messing it up.
Okay.
So even though my own life is very chaotic and messy, I still like to keep things very sorted so that I can see the vision clearly in front of me. And when I can see it, it is also my duty to communicate to others what I see so that all of us fall on the same page. So it would be clearly communicating a vision.
Lovely. What is then your one or two steps that you would give to the budding leaders who have become the first time managers and they're going to start leading people?
I'll take it up from the book, of course. The first is, which I've learned a hard way from my own life, don't need to win every battle. Pick your battles. It's really not important for you to win every damn battle that comes across. Choose the ones which you would really like to win. For instance, losing a chess game to your child is all right. That's actually a winning for you, even if you've lost. So losing an argument to the life partner is okay. That's how life is. Lose it there. Lose ego to your senior if you want to. I mean, it's absolutely okay. So pick up the battles because ultimately you want to win the big war. True. And that is the war of life. That is the war. That is the beauty of the magic of the journey and not the destination. For me, the journey matters far more than the destination. So one is, do not pick every battle to fight. Choose your battles very carefully. Lovely. And choose which ones to win and which ones to lose. And again, secondly is obviously to make a two-stop list right away.
True. That's so important, isn't it? Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Now, Marshall talks about apologizing, right, as a magic move. Mm-hmm. All of us apologize. All of us don't apologize. We do. From a leadership perspective, why is this so powerful and why Marshall has actually allocated 3 or 4 pages on this one word called apologizing and calls it a magic move? And how have you, give me an instance where it worked as a magic move?
So apologizing can be seen in two ways. One is a lip service. That is when you say a simple thank you. And in fact, that often brings a conversation to an end instead of letting the dialogue continue. So that's just a lip service. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the real form of apologizing, which is heartfelt and which patches up broken stories. So for me, it is a magic move because it helps broken pieces to collect together, get patched up in one beautiful piece. And if you ask me about an example from my own life,
one leadership example from the corporate side, which really worked for you, and you were battling with it, and you just went and said sorry, and everything ठीक हो गया then.
बहुत बार हुआ है, not once, twice, but I think many times. I think I've owned my mistakes to my bosses and seniors and my teammates, and it has worked like magic. But I have to give you one personal example, if you permit, Rajiv.
Please do.
So there was this man who I was dating when I was in my teens, who I accidentally kept on repeatedly hurting and hurting very badly. And I'm glad I apologized at the earliest opportunity because we finally ended up marrying each other. And nothing could be more magic. So if you talk about that magic move, yes, that apologizing had got me a life partner to spend the rest of my life with. Now, who else will know the power of apologizing?
A man you dated, you apologized, got married, and also got romantically quarantined. What can you ask for in life? This is scientifically proven. Guys listening here, go get married.
And go apologize. You never know. The one who you are apologizing may end up as your best friend.
I know.
Who knows?
Galti ho gaya, apologize karke. So right. But you know, it's so much of a what do they say? Crunch egos. You really have to get yourself to do that, isn't it? It's so easy, but I don't know why leaders make it seem so tough. Really, it makes tremendous impact when you do that. Lovely. Thank you for that example. So you have come all the way. You've read many books. What got you here won't get you there is the name of the book. But tell me, 2 non-negotiable characteristics of yours that has brought you till here and will get you there. So I'm going to change the title name. What got you will get you there. Tell me 2 strong characteristics from a leadership perspective that's also an advice to the body.
One is integrity. Integrity. It has worked for me. It will work for me because it is like ethics, which was, which is, which will always be without any compromise. So that is the beauty of ethics. So integrity is also a summation of honesty, diligence, ethics, whatever name you may have for it. But it is the character of it is never going to change. It never has had. It never will be. So easily it is the integrity.
So when you say integrity, are you saying living by the words, actions, what you're saying, doing what you say, saying what you do?
With utmost morality and ethical behavior.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yes.
Second one?
Second one is reflection.
Expand that for us.
Yes, I will. So I have found this unique way of stopping and not falling in the mad rush, stopping, mulling over, appreciating what I have, what I don't have, where am I going to go, and then remaking my plan. So if I say one word, reflection, it comprises of too many small processes put into one. But then when I say you need to stop, you actually need to stop everything which is around you, stop the ecosystem around you for a couple of seconds, minutes, days, whatever your buffer or cushion is, stop there, see yourself objectively, see your vision objectively, and then start afresh. It actually rejuvenates, at least it has rejuvenated me every time with a new energy, with a new dimension, with a new dream. And I think wherever I want to go ahead, I need such pauses of reflections in my life. And I'm going to do that.
Lovely. I think very powerful. Currently in the world where I see a lot of youngsters who are rushing through, are an urgency to reach the glass ceiling.
Yes.
Some of them have been very lucky to have started off at a very powerful launch pad, and they have seen the meteoric rise, and they are hence all the more doubly, triply aspirational. They don't get the difference between speed and haste, and I think they are hasty, but they don't understand speed. And I'm not
Mhm.
going to sound generalizing here because those guys will pounce onto me through the Zoom channel. But however,
Mhm.
yes, that is definitely a bit of a speed, haste that these people display. I think for them, your second point of reflection is very, very powerful. That pause is
Yes,
so important, right? I mean, they
it's
always say
important.
a punch always comes after a pause.
Yes,
And that's so
exactly.
important, isn't it?
Yes.
It's so important. In a bout, you're very clear that the punch is going to be powerful and there is a pause. It applies for you. That's what you have been doing, right? The reflection is just a
Yes.
stop and then
Yes.
take balcony view. It gives you a completely a different orientation and dimension to look at.
Plus, you know what, Rajiv, the things that matter to me at this moment may not matter in this with the same intensity to me at some later moment.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And that is the point when I need to reflect and to let go of those things and adopt newer things.
So
Unless I stop and take a pause, how will I come back with a punch?
lovely, lovely. That was such a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for coming on
Thank
to
you.
this event, Shree, and thank you for articulating it so beautifully well. It was a pleasure talking with you. Honor to have you.
Completely
I
my
hope you
pleasure.
enjoyed it.
Completely my pleasure. You actually made my day. This is such a nice talk. I think I'll keep the flavor of this beautiful talk that we have had for a long, long time. An honor. Seriously. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. I look forward to meet you when things open up and
Yes.
flights start flying up. Yeah.
Bye.
You have a good evening.
Same, yeah. Take care of yourself.
You too. Bye.